Phone's off. Or it's on. Laser blinking, facial recognition, and scanning. Still going. No phone. There it is. Boom. Still going. You can't see it unless you look through a camera. Listening. Selling all your data. $1 million.
$1 billion.
Well, each person,
Yeah.
Government tracking all of your data, whether your phone's on or off. It's a laser beam, gives you cancer, shooting at you constantly.
Yeah.
Your body, your phone in your pocket. Every phone has it. Not your camera. Block your camera. Turn your sound off. Doesn't make a difference. Absolutely the definition of breaking the Constitution. First for monetary reasons. Then instead of the government coming in and telling Amazon and Amazon's a big one. And then Microsoft, everybody jumped on board. Facebook, big one. Gathering up everyone's data, tracking what colors make you buy, mapping your soul with the information we have. Heat signature vein mapping is more precise than fingerprints. We used to get into webcams, watch people while they went up and down our websites to get them to buy faster. We realized we could start using heat signature to find out what made them buy. They got excited, they got depressed, whatever it was. Well, we kept going further, worried the government was going to step in and say, hey, that's an invasion of privacy, because we had a little contract they put in your webcam book. The fine print said, for tech reasons, we need to have full access to your webcams on your home computers. So we were doing it fairly innocently, called usability studies. We would track where your eyes went, your pupil dilation, got into heat signatures, emotions, and started realizing that we were starting to put together some data that one could use in the future if they were to dive in a little harder and basically start determining what makes people do all kinds of things, and those emotions that you have while you're looking at your computer are completely private. And like I said, we were concerned, knowing we were doing the right thing to help people, or that's what we believed. It was inevitable it was going to happen. We thought the government would come in and say, hey, whoa, you guys can't do that. But we knew they didn't quite understand, the whole the spectrum of what we were doing, what we had access to, and at the same time knew that, well, if someone's doing this here, they're going to be doing it anywhere, right? So, well, surprisingly enough, as Bill Gates and what's Zuckerberg and all the, Bezos, everybody was like, Google, Apple. No, Apple's, hopefully, but what happens is they stood up to the government the longest, and like Bill Gates said, he said, well, we thought we were standing up for the government. He said, but boy, I should have been in with the government a long time ago, because government just got on board, opened the floodgates as long as they get all the data. So they've been gathering it up, as anybody can't deny from a true American patriot in Hawaii. Unfortunately, he can't even live on the soil he protects with his life. Edward Snowden proved that the NSA, which has a direct computer link access to FBI database. So, as we are right now, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who investigated, for example, the blatant child molestation, selling, abuse at the highest level, our most trusted positions, obvious with more evidence than anybody could imagine. Somehow the FBI, who investigated the ordeal, doesn't have access to the tapes, and the answer is we don't need anybody else seeing child pornography. Well, like as if this would not help that to happen, to bring out the criminals. So let's put that on the back burner. Let's put the Patriot Act on their table when the two what they would consider somewhat not as in touch with the deepest, darkest corners of the Republic, trying to make a name for themselves. They went for the splash, the good guy splash, and they ran into a stone wall. Keep in mind, they tried once to do the right thing. So they throw fits. No offense to them. I understand it was all set up. And go back to their desks, angry, still wanting to make a name, still wanting to rise up higher in government as they are. And I assure them, knowing what I know, that they are as high as they will be. And what they need to do is take advantage of their positions and put down the Patriot Act, the sword of the Crusades, that enslaved, or attempted to enslave, at least conquer and steal from their very bloodline. It's a mockery. Mockery. India. I understand Patel is an American. I respect that. But don't think for 1 second that there are powers that be that understand that mockery is included in every one of their plans. Bongino, look at yourself in the mirror. I love and accept and give you all the freedoms of the Constitution, but to take up the Constitution with its post-it notes, and to take those post-it notes, which are a sure sign of terrorism, that is the very definition by American presidents up until the federal bank, specifically anyone that makes amendments, acts to the Constitution, they will by definition be the terrorists to our republic. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist or an architectural engineer, who we have heard nothing from. And I know this is beating a dead horse, but and you're gonna call me a conspiracy theorist. Good, that's wonderful. I am a conspiracy fact checker, real checker, not Reuters and its other two monopolized news sources that control what you think. For example, the Epstein files disappeared from media very quickly, but we had the big evil we have to kill. The big evil everybody wants gone. You can't deny it. It's called brainwashing, advertisements. It's called a television. They tell you a vision. We are automatic. It doesn't. I've done advertising my entire life. It's automatic. It doesn't matter if you think you're bigger than it or not. The only way you can recognize the evil that is trying to warp your mind to tell you that this product is better than that is they pay money for it, and the more you see it, the more you're told a vision. Vision is very powerful. And when they have a word like fentanyl, and they're saying, oh my goodness, it's a terrorist act from China and Mexico. Come on. It was a terrorist act planned, premeditated, prior to. Mexico has done nothing but water down their drugs to not cause waves. They don't go around committing murders in the USA, even though people owe them $30,000, $50,000, $100,000. They let it go because the last thing they want to do is make waves. And you want to blame China? Wrong answer. China will sell anything to anybody to make money. I can respect that. But as soon as the government comes in and says, China, step down, don't sell anymore, what do? They follow the order. What kind of a terrorist would do that? And to say that it's being targeted to America, well, you'd also have to say it's being targeted to Canada. So what's the military advantage to targeting Canada? And you could say, well, Canada is what? Not part of the USA, doesn't have a military, they're non-aggressive. So if you want to pull the race card and say, well, they're white, well, Europe's white. So explain it to me. I know why. It's a simple as there was already a demand that was crying out. All Mexico did is, after years of hearing that demand, and after taking over the heroin trade from Afghanistan and the CIA, then Mexico has watered down their drugs, I'm sure for profit, but the main reason is they don't want to be in the news because they end up in El Chapo town, So I'm not saying this because I don't know. I'm telling you this because you don't know. So here's your phone. That's what it's doing constantly. Every word. Hey. See it? Yep. Every word, every emotion, every heat signature, semantically making connections between you and everybody you know and everything you do, and putting it in a supercomputer to predict what you will do next, and therefore control with a computer. And by the way, during the cold and flu 19, COVID cold and flu season is gone. They replaced it with the cure for the common cold. Big money. How do you make a vaccine for a coronavirus? The cure for the common cold. Chimeric adjustment, just slightly from, they can use a number of things, the armadillo, some Chinese animals that have that strange DNA, bats of course, bats, and it'll make the cold a little bit worse, but I never got a shot. We were picking up cigarette butts, you name it. I'm smoking. I figured all the homeless people I knew would die. I figured certain towns get wiped out. Well, we lived about an hour and a half from where it hit first in the U.S., and it's probably the least affected area in the entire world was where coronavirus launched in, what is it, Woodinville? Where was?
Something Renton, maybe?
No, not Renton. It was Woodinville or or right above their Bothell area in an old folks home, if anybody remembers that, Washington State. Okay, that's where it launched. And so, well, judging by its spread and its pandemic spread, you would think that there would be a bomb right there, right? Because everybody in the old folks home had it. They wouldn't let them in. And our hospitals would be almost overrun. All the hospitals almost overrun. They were on the brink of overrunning, but not a single one in the entire country was overrun. And I'm sure you guys called relatives in other states and you said, I heard it was really bad in Boise. And your sister said, Boise, I heard it was really bad over there. And you both kind of sat there like, no, scared out of your minds. Or you were standing up for your loved ones, or whatever manipulation they used. If you look at the cold and flu season is no longer, it is COVID, COVID, COLD. The coronavirus is the common cold. It's to help our immune systems. Somebody thought it up to figure out how to make money. Vaccines. Simple. It's the reason Epstein got hit by the FBI when he did, because Bill Gates had been spending the night over there with him for 2 weeks talking about his experimental on the fringe research, that his nonprofits that he was investing money in, and they were using to wash money, untaxed money, to pay for young American white girls. Right? So, I'll just let everybody know it's not about what color you are, but it is about your bottom line. As you can see, they have video evidence. So if these FBI directors aren't going to protect, I understand why Trump's not getting involved, because he's done enough. He's done little things, shown signs. But if you're going to be the FBI director, if not protect, who are you going to protect? Who are you protecting right now? Who are you protecting and serving? Huh? The IRS? Tax money? Using the Patriot Act, that's a terrorist act. You want to go down in history as terrorists? That's what's going on right now. And so you are saving the American Republic from being able to buy safe drugs. Congratulations. Good job. I bet you're going to cure America's drug habits. It's where drugs are going to go down. Good job. You are brilliant. Just like Biden with his crack laws that destroyed black communities. Congratulations. Good job. You guys are doing awesome. Let's fill our prisons up. Oh, at least the private prisons up. Let's fill them all up with people that are selling safe street drugs, as if not anybody that's listening to this shit hasn't bought or been given an illegal substance. Wake up, look at your life, look at your past. If you've never done that, congratulations. But Trump hasn't even smoked a cigarette. What does he do a week before they violate Americans' rights blatantly? He releases Silk Road a week before. A week before this happens, he releases Silk Road. So explain that to me. Explain that one to me. Why are you putting 250 people in California? Now you're taking down Minnesota. Great, good job. Take them all down. You're going to take them all down. Take them all down, right? Take them all down, because the Oxycontin crime, premeditated murder crime, with more evidence than I can even imagine to go against them criminally in law without their handshake judge agreements to never be brought to trial again on this. What kind of What is that? You can never sue them again. They've paid their dues. They paid the 1% of their profits. Well, we don't even have to look into them knowing they had pill mills, them pushing, them really about to release a jumbo pill. So they're pushing hard to make as much money as they can. And what's Mexico doing? The pushers of this horrible drug fentanyl, no, they were feeling an extreme want, an extreme need to get that high that Oxycontin left so many people. They couldn't reach that again. They couldn't reach it. And 90% of them were prescribed by the most trusted people in this entire country, are doctors, because they were promised that this miracle drug was an opioid. Most doctors, whoa, opioid, whoa. No, this one's fine. Our revolving door medical safety check says this is the miracle drug. It's non-addictive. Prescribe as much as you can, right? Much as you can, right? So the same doctors that didn't want to say anything about the obvious mistake that was being made were pressured with offers, everything you can think of, threatened to be called out in front of their best friends and coworkers who may have been on board or may not have, trusting the system. That's all they have is trust in the system. Yet the revolving door set the whole thing up, and we think that means that they did not have, evil intent to begin with. I can assure you that being in the meetings with those lawyers prior to this, there was a list with blank names, and they said, well, this is the minimum of people that are going to die. And it was pages and pages and pages of lists with blank names that are going to get filled in before this is all over, guaranteed. And that was a quick skip over. And so how much money can we make, and what's the payout going to be? Well, you're going to end up paying about 1%. Once we get to this point, you're going to plateau, and from there on out, it's pure gravy. So as people were going crazy, they had off-duty police officers getting paid double wages to be guarding pharmacies. I mean, obviously, massive people that never would do a street drug in their life were hooked on Oxycontin, hooked on having to move to heroin and still not finding that high. So as Mexico's providing heroin, and as Afghanistan was set up to provide heroin to fill the gap, well, they were a little late on the research. The Central Intelligence Agency thought that they could just fill the gap with heroin, make a bunch of money in Afghanistan. So they overthrow the religious Taliban because they don't believe in heroin. They start taking down all their farmland, turning it into poppy fields, and using tax dollars and military presence, all our money, to go over there and put up a cardboard government, cardboard military, cardboard everything. And then suddenly Mexico puts out not fentanyl, not powdered fentanyl, not any fentanyl. They release fake